Hi folks, hope you're doing well. It's nearly 4 p.m. on the 30th of July 2020. Yeah, okay, right. I hope you're doing well today and you've had a good week. It's Thursday, so still a few days of the week to go. But hi. So hopefully you're enjoying yourself. I just saw a quote that was quite a useful quote. That when you try to do the right thing, but it all goes terribly wrong. Yeah. How often does that happen in life? Quite often. Well, the reality is that quite often, if our thinking isn't quite right, what we think is the right thing, we often realise if our thinking was right, would be the completely wrong thing to do. But we do it thinking it's the right thing, and it ends up being terrible. That's one reason why trying to do the right thing can end up terrible. Another reason why is because we wrongly have the belief, and I think it's because where the God says, if you do good, you'll receive blah blah blah, right? So when you do good, you'll receive good. When you sow good things, you'll reap, etc., etc., etc. Because of that, we believe that when we do good, good will come. No, that's not necessarily the reality. That's not necessarily the way things work. Because quite often, when you do something that's good, even if it is something that's good, the person you do that to or for doesn't like that. It makes them feel bad. It can make them feel bad for many reasons. Maybe they're bad, or maybe they think they're bad, and any good shown to them, makes them feel bad. So therefore, they react to you in a negative way when you try and do good. That is often the case. For example, if you speak truth, if you're in a church that's full of churchgoers, there's barely any spirit-filled born-again Christians in at all, and you speak truth, you're in big danger there. You're in big danger that what you say will not be accepted. It will come back and it will bite you in the butt. That is the reality of the situation, because in those places they don't recognize truth as being truth, because that's not what church is to them. Church to them is that sort of community centre place with a bit of praise and worship, with some nice messages that make us think that, we're going to heaven, we don't need to do anything. We're locked in anyway. Yeah. So we don't need to be nice to people. We don't need to be decent human beings. We don't need to serve God. We don't need to sacrifice in any way, shape or form, because we went forward in a meeting once and we go to church every Sunday. You start speaking truth to them, they won't like it. Chances are you will get attacked. Same if you start speaking truth to the world. You start shining light in darkness, they will attack you. So that way it can seem as if doing the good thing can end up as being really, really awful. The results being. But I think what they're saying there is that, when you try and do the best you can, your best isn't good enough. Your decision making isn't good enough. You make decisions like parents. Parents make decisions for their children, and they make a decision that they think is best overall for their child. Perfect example, anyone who gives their child up for adoption. Any young person who thinks that, I'm fairly poor. If they can go to somebody, if my child can go to someone who has a bit of money, they'll have a far better life. Well, you've done, certainly in your understanding, you've done the best thing you can do. you've tried to do good. But that child could go to a family who are incredibly strict, to say the least, and judgmental, and don't really give that child much love. That's the reality. I mean, that's happened to a lot of children that were adopted. They went into families, and when they get to the age where they want to look themselves, to find their parents, all the adopted parents, they don't like that in any way, shape, or form. They're not exactly supportive. So when you hand your child over and it goes to a family like that, you've tried to do your best, but maybe the results haven't been that good for the child. That can happen, folks. Same as you run a business and the business is struggling and you make a decision. The one thing that could possibly rescue the business, and you sink a load of money into it, and it ends up meaning you lose everything. Not only you, but all the people that work for you end up being out of a job. They could have worked there for 20, 30 years, and suddenly that one decision you made could bring the whole thing down. But you truly believed it was the right thing to do. Folks, these things can happen, and when they do, you've got to forgive yourself. Get back up and start walking forwards again. We make mistakes. We do things sometimes for the right reasons, sometimes for the wrong reasons. But either way, they can end up being terrible for everyone concerned. That's life. That's what we need to learn from in life. It's what's called making a mistake. We make mistakes. And it's fine. We make mistakes. Yeah, we're human. We do things we shouldn't do. That's a reality. We are human. So, yeah. We're going to do things we shouldn't do, aren't we, really? Oh, yeah. I'll put the babies outside for a minute, just to get them used to being outside, because they're getting to the age now where they can be outside longer, where they can stay in the kennel for most of the day. Not all day, not at night. I mean, I could put them in the kennel at night, close the door, leave them in there at night. I could do that, yes. I'm not sure if I'm going to, but I could do, yeah. I'll see. See what happens. You see, yeah. Generally speaking, I probably wouldn't, because when the pups are in the shower, change the subject, yes. When the pups are in the shower, this is what I'm saying about trying to do the best thing and having it being not so good. I've learnt over time of dealing with pups that if they sleep in the shower overnight, it's much easier. Because if they poo in there, it's much easier to clean up in the shower or they pee in there than it is the kennel. Because the kennel has got a wooden floor, it's got a carpet over the floor, and that carpet can get really stinky in no time at all with puppies sleeping in there overnight. Or sleeping there during the day and overnight, it can get really stinky. And the thing of it is, obviously, with the kennel, if there's only puppies in there, you can't have the kennel open at all overnight. Because even though chances that a fox will go in there is slim, there's a possibility a fox will go in there. And again, decision making. I could say, good decision for the pups. They can come out and do their toilet. They don't pee and poo in the kennel at night. Well, the reality is also there's a long entrance into the kennel. Around about 5 to 6 foot entrance. Generally speaking, the pups poo in there. And it's really difficult to clean out. Yeah, because I can't take the side off because I've got another tool box right in front of there, tool shed basically in front of there. So yeah, it's easier for them to sleep in the shower. I don't need to worry about any foxes getting in. Easier to clean up the pee and poo. So, but during the day they can be in there, and I have the door open because it's warm enough now. They're getting to the age now where they can deal with their own body heat because it's warm enough outside, so that's fine. They should be okay. So from now on, it's possible. What I will do is I'll stick them in the kennel when it's sleepy time during the day, with the door open, so they can go to sleep in there, be used to sleeping in there. And when I put them outside, they will find their way into there if they need to. I can start putting some toys down for them and all this sort of stuff. It's all part of the process of getting them ready. But yeah, as I say, we learn even from the pups. I've made mistakes. With the first litters, I made mistakes. I didn't realise with the first litter, which was Lucy's, when the vets were telling me she wasn't pregnant. Because when I got her, she was a rehome and she was pregnant already, which I was told she might be. And the vets were telling me she wasn't. So I didn't feed her extra food. I didn't do any of the stuff I now do. So now, with these dogs, with the ones that can have pups, around about 4 weeks before they have the pups, extra food, I start getting used to having 4 or 5 meals a day because they need that for when they're feeding the pups. A few weeks beforehand, I really slow down their walkies. They just come with me on a lead, walking around the area. So they can go for a walk, but that's not too strenuous. But of course, Lucy is a nutcase when running around. I hit the ball, she runs every time for every ball, especially if she hasn't got anything in her mouth. If she's got something in her mouth, that works perfectly because she won't run flat out because she's not trying to get the ball. She's just chasing after the one that's running after the ball. So she normally let them be the one ahead. If she hasn't got anything in her mouth, she's trying to get the ball, and she'll try and do that every time. She'd be running flat out. So of course, when she was pregnant the first time, and the vets were telling me she wasn't pregnant, she'd have been running like that all the time. And those 2 pups died of epilepsy. After that, I learned. So right, okay, let's deal with this now. We don't want to lose any more pups. They died at around about 4 months old, I think, 4 to 5 months old. Both within days of each other. So these are the things you learn from. You say, right, okay, I've got to make sure it doesn't happen again, or at least as much as possible. And it was possible that they got the epilepsy from Lucy, even though I'd never seen her have a fit. And the people I got it from said she never had a fit. Never had anything like that. But it could have been from her. So I gingerly allowed Lucy to have another litter and kept an close eye on that lot, and they were fine. So I was like, okay, it wasn't Lucy. They didn't get that from Lucy. Cool. Again, you just be careful. Be wise. Try and learn from situations. So, and with the pups, learn how quickly you can get them onto food, and how you can train them and do stuff like that. I was doing more. Initially, I had the garden up from me and the garden next door that the pups used to go into. Now they can't go into either. So when they get old enough to go out for a proper walk, I carry them to an area where they can go. And yeah. But that's why I thought today. Put them out on the stones. They're 3 weeks old tomorrow. So they're very young still. That's the point. Are you having a go? Eh? Who's little Louie having a go? This is little baby Louie. Come on, Louie. How you doing, mate? How's little Louie? How's Louie? How's you doing, my boy? Oh, he's got teeth now, haven't you, Louie? Eh? Oh, he was biting you earlier, didn't you, Louie? Eh? You're biting your dad. Right, folks, that'll have to do for this one, I think. I'll have to put Louie down in a sec because he does get a bit annoying. He gets a bit annoyed, shall I say. Oh, he's got his mouth open. Hi. Oh, I did a video earlier that I've just uploaded actually, or uploading. A fairy village, woods, walk and talk. And now I was talking about one of the things I mentioned was that as when I was a kid, we were fascinated by the idea of French kissing, about this new thing that had just come in, and that's how innocent we were. What put that into my mind was these pups. Like, go on, bro. There you go. Yeah, they put that into my mind because when when you pick them up and they come up to you and they start kissing you, before they start kissing you, they yawn and they're trying to kiss you while they're yawning. So, and their mouth is wide open. So it's like you're trying a French kiss. You're very young puppies. Now pack it up. You shouldn't be trying to French kiss anyone at your age. So yeah, that's what put it in my mind about the French kissing. So, well, excuse me, Louis. He's a very verbal little pup. That's society. But yeah, you take care, folks. God bless, and I will speak to you soon. Bye bye.